What's up, folks? Jay here, back with shop review number 20, and today's shop is the 𝗗𝗚𝗦𝗃𝗃er. So if you want to get your shop reviewed, you can come to my Facebook group here. It's Jay's Way Print on Demand is what the URL is. You'll see this post with my face in it in the featured post, and you can come down here and drop your shop. I'm doing free shop reviews. They're, supposed to be 3-minute, but they keep going way more than 5 and even 10 sometimes. But yeah, I'm going to try to keep them, closer to the 5-minute mark here. But I'm going to go over first impressions. We'll look at a listing. We'll look at some SEO, and we'll look at some design. That said, in the description, I am going to have a disclaimer, kind of along the lines of that nothing I say is going to, be the be-all, end-all. It's going to be how you take what I tell you and apply it along with Etsy's best practices. And I'm just going to try to be as constructive as possible. I won't sugarcoat anything, though, because otherwise, if I'm sugarcoating stuff, it's just wasting both of our time. So without further ado, let's get into it. So thanks first and foremost, Teresa, for having the courage for putting yourself out there. You've got style, unique gifts, and clothing for everyone. So the 𝗗𝗚𝗦𝗃𝗃er. Not sure what this is, but I'm going to guess or speculate that it has to do with knitting. Otherwise, I don't know what are the hooks for knitting. Otherwise, I don't know what the 𝗗𝗚𝗃𝗃er is. And it looks like, maybe there's something to do with the fashion there. Not sure what it kind of means. It almost looks like You've Got Style could be your brand name, but no one cares about your parlay. I've heard of parlay in the Victorian era in terms of like how pirates would solve issues. So I'm not sure how it applies to football or what looks to be hockey, but to be determined. I would change these up. 3 of the same here kind of just doesn't seem as natural as it could be. My best friend will always be my sisters. So either make this singular or make this plural up here. So you don't have a best friend that is many people. You have several best friends that are many people, right? So my best friends will always be my sisters. Can't read what this says, so I would zoom in on that so that you can showcase kind of the design, because if I can't read it on a laptop, no one on a mobile device, which is over 70% of Etsy shoppers, are going to be able to make that out either. The logo, this font is not intended to be all caps. It's intended to be title case, so like the first letter would be the capital and then the rest would be lowercase. So it doesn't look awesome from a font aesthetic, and I don't really know what's going on here. So it looks like a mannequin of sorts, but we still don't know what the 𝗗𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃er is. So use the line here to tell, you can talk about your shop. There's a line you can have of text under here to tell people what your shop is and who it's for. You've got good reviews, but you're lacking on the customer service aspect and you're lacking on the on-time shipping. So you're going to want to get on top of those for sure. So in your shipping times and processing times, you are the one who sets those. So set them longer than it takes so that you can always deliver early to get Etsy's good graces. Once you start getting a few of those badges, you'll start to see a little more traction. We've got 33 sales, 164 designs. I would argue that you're going to want to stop and reassess here because more of the same isn't going to net more sales. We've got holiday in your shop sections, desk decor, crew neck, sweatshirt. So again, you've got niches and products. Do not mix them, one or the other. Pardon the background noise here. It looks like there's a tractor going by or something. But holiday, Christmas, desk decor, crew neck shirts not be in the holiday Christmas section? Would ornaments not arguably be in the Christmas section? So like I've said 1,000 times, be respectful of your customer's time, right? If they're looking for Christmas ornaments and they click here, do you have ornaments in here? No, ornaments are on their own, but they're also Christmas. So that's definitely Christmas. You've got Christmas, even if the design itself isn't Christmas, the mock-up is, right? So make sure that you respect the customer's time. You've got 8 seconds is how much people usually spend on a website page. And that's like an old stat. That's like a 2-year-old stat. It's probably less time, to be honest. Attention spans, if anything, have gotten shorter, not longer. And within 3 seconds, somebody will know if they're going to add it to cart. So make it easy, make it less cumbersome. Police officer, cop, these are all niches. These aren't even niches, they're market segments. So it's a demographic. I don't see clearly identified niche. You're going to end up needing literally 10 times this amount to get steady sales, and you're going to have to stay on top of trends, which is going to burn you out. So it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to keep up with. Design aesthetic here, make sure that the fonts work with the design. The 2 fonts here are kind of what you would call display fonts, so they don't work together, they kind of fight. So you want to have like one display font that could be the fancy one, and then the main copy or of the text could be like a bold sans serif font. If you don't know the difference between serifs and sans serifs, I will be adding a video talking all about typography, but that's something you should look up. Pairings of fonts and stuff, I'll have to make a video on that for sure. But like, let's look at a design here. So we've got beer mugs, but it's on a coffee mug. mug. Hey princess, now that I'm awake, can you get me a beer? Now that I'm awake, you don't want a coffee? Weird to me. Not judging if you wake up and you want beer, but hey princess, get me a beer gift. I don't see that on here. I had to click into your listing to see that it actually had words on the back. So make this displayed on the main image as well. You can have it smaller or something, but legible. It still has to be clear. So move this over to the right, have the words there. You want people to be able to know what they're looking at immediately when they click on a listing or see it in their search results when they're scrolling by. Estimated sales, revenue, nothing. So it's 102 days. So like well over 3 months. Let's look at the tags here. So you've got some search volume, but gift for men, it's not a beer drinking mug. It's going to be Stein, gift for beer drinker. These are keywords that people just aren't searching. Best dad gift could be, but it's also a coffee mug. So just be conscious and be more intentional, I think, with what you're doing here. Contrast is a big one. So it's hard to see white text with drop shadow on a white background. These need to be really zoomed in here. Walking begins with the first step. You need to be able to identify what the design says right when you look at it without having to click on it. For design, I would suggest that you work on your design. Higher contrast, make this black, make this bright. It's just not something that I think is going to compare. So like I may be old, but I got to see all the cool bands shirt. So this is your main long tail keyword. So if we were to go paste this in, okay, so let's look at, we'll skip the first row of ads. We're looking here for trends that are repeating. So we've got this. I know this will be selling well. When I think band shirts, I think black, I think white text. This is, more along the lines right here. This I maybe old rock and roll stuff. If anything, I would like this shirt because it doesn't have to have an element. All the cool bands, you're not going to a concert to hear a record, right? And they're sure as heck not having vinyl on shirts. The guitar thing's overdone. This is a little cooler. I think the retro sunsets are overdone, but the color trends are still there. But this still does look cooler, right? So like, again, yours is showing up here again because you're paying for ads. So if people are clicking on this because it's so hard to make out some of the smaller text and they don't buy it, it tells Etsy to stop showing it in search results for those terms. And we don't want that. That's worst case scenario, right? Maybe, but I got to see all the cool bands. Even that's kind of cool. A different style on the fonts. This is cool. It's just hard to read. I would use block letters. Go for something like that. This isn't bad. See, this mock-up should be the first one. This guy looks like a guy who was into seeing cool bands. This guy looks more like a guy who's ready to sit down and drink a coffee while he watches some soap operas. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense anyway. So gradients aren't going to print well. They're going to be blurry because on a garment other than white, most direct-to-garment printers will always put a underbase of white. And this logo here is really hard to make out. Maybe have a white outline around it or something. It's really hard to see what it is. I paused my game to be with you. Are you targeting gamers? Because I feel like you don't know the niche really, right? Like you don't know who it is you're targeting because the contrast in terms of design doesn't stand out. And then gaming gift for husband. I just think the contrast here, it doesn't look good. Like I paused my game to be with you. I think what you want to have is I paused my game to be here would be kind of more generically what people would want. Don't use the Mario stuff. You're going to get kicked off Etsy for using that stuff. But yeah, I would definitely start by picking a niche that you know better than other people. So what's the inspiration behind the old glass hooker, right? Do you have anything down here about that, about us? No, you don't tell anybody your story. It's not evident why your shop is called this. You obviously created it for a reason and called it that for a reason. So maybe dive into that. And you can also ask ChatGPT, I would recommend on this one if you're not sure. Whatever the niche is, your strong suit, ask it for quotes or funny sayings to put on a shirt. There's no shame in leveraging AI. All the massive businesses are doing it. They're just not telling everybody. So like, I don't see why you wouldn't want to leverage that. Some of the stuff is funny, risque, still way too hard to read. This needs to be front and foremost. Your mom likes to D. That's really funny, but using, be careful with the fonts. You can't use the lion. You're going to get kicked off. This is their actual logo. You're going to get booted from the platform. So if you care about, or worse, sued, which, probably wouldn't be an issue unless you were actually selling some, but you definitely don't want to be kicked off the platform and you definitely don't want to get sued, right? Start with 2 or 3 niches, bonus points if they overlap. Sorry about the construction in the background, but start there. Kind of identify who it is you're targeting. and then start looking at design aesthetics that you like. What would you want to wear? Start there. Start with you. What you know more of than most people in a room. What are you the subject matter expert on? That'll be, the easiest way to break into how to pick your niche. And I do have tons of videos on how to pick a niche. I'll link to one right here, actually. But that'll be, a great place to start. And then you can also subscribe to my newsletter. Go to jaysway.works and download the free Ideal Customer Workbook. That'll give you a great head start into defining who it is you want to target and what products they might be into. So yeah, thanks again for having the courage to put yourself out there, Teresa. I look forward to seeing where you go from here. Take care.